Here you go, Sabrina. Your buckwheat cake with coconut butter, almonds and nuts, strawberries and rhubarb, sugar-free with pistachios. Gluten-free, no milk derivatives. Enjoy your meal. Nowadays, eating isn't that simple anymore. Wherever we go, we are told to eat certain foods and not others. We are told we eat too much. Some food is bad for us, some aren't ethical, their production and consumption are bad for the environment. We must worry about what we eat, as it's full of preservatives and pesticides, and that we should become vegan. That it would be better if we eliminated gluten, meat, fish, eggs, sugars, milk, and all processed food. All this creates a widespread fear and confusion on our tables. Between truth, pseudoscience, miracle diets, and new dogmas that questions the traditional way we feed ourselves, many worried people are seeking solutions through alternative and curious diets. I eat, therefore I am. Such a lovely surprise to find vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free dishes. Let's say that we are very careful about what intolerances and allergies might be, various way of eating, so we must be up to date on everything. They listed allergies too, have you seen? There you find the 14 major allergies included in the menu, so you already see what you may or not choose. Of course, bread is gluten-free, buckwheat bread, and 2 black rice crackers. It's not easy today to run a restaurant. There are many people like Sabrina that go through the menu searching for ingredients they absolutely want to avoid, like gluten, lactose, but not only. As a main course, we have eggplants and spinach beets, sautéed with parsley. I am much happier now and even feel free to go out to lunch, as finally there is more awareness towards people with food intolerances, but also towards the quality of food in general, and compared to the past, now it's a pleasure to dine out. Sabrina is 54 and has been testing for quite a while the reactions her body has to certain food. Since childhood, the taste of meat has always very much bothered me, but also by its smell, since I was a child. I must say my mother, as a good Lombard, made me try all kinds of meat, so I know exactly what I'm missing out on and what I dislike. Growing up, as a personal choice, cruelty on animals, defined my definitive choice to become a vegetarian. My choice of not getting completely rid of gluten, but being very careful about it, is based on physical well-being. The problem started when I noticed that my abdomen had swollen, which didn't mean I was celiac or that I was suffering from intolerances. I did exams for that, but mostly a reaction to some kind of grains that aren't the ones of the past, healthy ones we had back in the days, and that's why I had these reactions. I feel much better metabolically, less weight, less tired, and fatigued.
Ho avuto delle reazioni e mi sento metabolicamente molto meglio, anche meno appesantita e meno affaticata e stanca.
My doctor knows about my food preferences, and my blood exams are good, with no particular deficiencies.
Vanno bene, senza alcuna carenza in particolare.
I also avoid corn, wheat. I eat very little rye and barley, because even if they do contain gluten, it's a much more digestible one. Since I started eating those, I don't have metabolic problems any longer, and my stomach doesn't swell anymore, while all the others that contain no gluten at all, like oats, arrowroot, buckwheat, and rice, I consume those regularly.
L'amaranto, il grano saraceno e il riso, lo mangio, lo assumo regolarmente.
I prefer not to eat processed food. Where they sell gluten-free turnovers, I prefer to make them myself. I give myself a little time. It's not so time-consuming and complicated. Our lives are too frenetic. There is the time to do stuff. It just takes 15 to 20 minutes, the time to make good pasta. So, gluten-free works.
Senza glutine.
Gluten-free forever.
Never again.
For breakfast proteins, oats and peanut butter, always. Proteins, carbs, and fats. It's a full meal. I digest it fast. I refilter oats. If I take away the part that remains more solid, I bloat less. Breakfast of champions. Some people have decided to eliminate some food elements from their diet. Others have created a customized diet. Mikel is 24 and is an athlete. The meals that he prepares and eats methodically spells out his days, from the morning to late at night. That rice is from last night at 2 a.m. I couldn't finish it at all. It will be today's entree. Now I'm preparing chicken. I'll season it. I will pull out the rice later. Carrots and fennel, as vegetables are important. Usually I start at 9 a.m. by preparing breakfast as soon as I get up. I eat at 10:30 and then eat again at 13:30 to 14. Depending on how many carbs I'm eating, because if I am, I'm sure I'll be hungry much sooner than that. But if I had a normal meal, I can't resist about 3 hours. And so on, up to 8 to 10 meals a day. The meals are actually 4, with 4 more snacks at least. I prefer to cook once every day and a half, instead of cooking all the time and stressing out about it. Eating shouldn't be a stress. Maybe now I'll have 3 slices one way and 3 in another, so I don't get tired of it during the day and have different flavors. Given that I eat just rice, chicken, eggs, carrots, and other few things, I must vary tastes to keep my appetite stimulated. My friends tell me I'm obsessed, that I'm insane. This is the most recurring adjective, but in the end, they all come and ask me for advice. So I probably am not that insane. If I eat anything different from my usual diet, I can immediately feel a difference in my stomach that I can't quite explain. It's like a weight, an immediate bloating. Precisely 1 kilogram. Now I'll divide it up, so I can know how more or less how much I eat each time, about 100 grams. I draw lines, just to not use a scale, so I don't stress out about it. I prefer to cut up the chicken and mix it in with all the rest, so it becomes a single course. It's not very nice to see, but it's practical. I never eat raw stuff. I prefer to cook everything. I could eat carrots in my salad, for example, or fennel, but I don't like raw vegetables, and absolutely not meat. I could never go back even if I wanted. It would be a problem to start eating at someone's house again. When I'm invited to lunch, I always eat everything. I like everything, but when food is too seasoned, there is too much oil, or some uncooked butter, it bothers me and weighs me down. A repetitive diet that would annoy others, but for Mikel, it's the only possible one. I think I'll keep eating this way. Now I'd say I'd eat this way forever, because it makes me feel great. Actually, I feel great since I started eating this way. I felt well before too, but a different kind of feeling. I wasn't as aware as I am now. Even if I had always eaten healthy food, my mother and father always cooked good things. In the past, it was a fake well-being because I was used to those circumstances. So you don't really know how you'd possibly feel, how energetic, eating the right food, feel full of life. Basically, when you eat well, you're full of energies. What was it? About half a kilogram of rice? No, it was like 100 grams. Only? What is it? The besame that grows and grows? Exactly. Overcooked, maybe with a little more water than usual. I make a point of eating just pigs, horses, cows. I just eat animals that weigh more than myself. But I can see you being a vegan. Just once a week, I'd give it a try. Jose, born in Turin 44 years ago, after time spent between Lisbon and London, decided to move to Ticino with his family in pursuit of a better quality of life. I grew up with a Mediterranean diet, the one we call Mediterranean 40 years ago, meaning that 40 years ago, we thought margarine was healthy. Then we found out it's worse compared to butter. In any case, it was a strictly omnivorous nutrition, where at the maximum opposite extreme, we arrived in London and ate frozen pizza and Haagen-Dazs every day. Then we started research in asking ourselves how we could live longer and healthier, and what kind of diet we'd choose for our children in that case. So, we approached veganism. Not just vegan, actually raw vegans. They cook nothing of what they eat. Raw food is living food because in the process of keeping food fresh, that is by not cooking, all nutritional values are kept alive. They haven't been cooked. I was thinking about making the dried cabbage leaves as you asked and started making the burger. You should put the sunflower in water. We use selected types of cooking that are generally not considered cooking. We dry food, temperature never goes above 42 degrees in a ventilated area as if they were dried in the sun. Or we ferment by pickling and other food alterations, but not cooking. It's especially for their son, Leonardo, that they chose raw veganism. We thought it would be better for our son to eat healthy food. Also because we were getting worried of all the additives animals are fed to grow so fast. To arrive on our tables full of unhealthy products, hormones, pesticides. And so we decided that it was better to eat all that is closer to nature. Leonardo is mostly vegan, not raw vegan. It doesn't worry us much if he will or will not become raw vegan. What we care about is to feed him the healthiest food. This is an almonds and coconut pie. And here we have chocolate, strawberry, orange. The cream is made from cashews and fruit.
Very good taste of coconut.
Yes. I love coconut.
If you could only find meats in the past, cheeses, and traditional produce nowadays, at Locarno and Bellizona markets, vegan and raw vegan specialties can be found as well, showing many is a big curiosity about these nutritional fads. With a raw diet, you feel the effects immediately, which can be lightness and satiety at the same time. You don't feel tired and ready to sleep right after eating. You have more energy. Since we started changing to vegan diet, we are almost never ill. Also, Leonardo, it's difficult he gets ill. This is very interesting, as a lot of moms normally say that when a child at the kindergarten is ill, all the kids are home ill too. Leonardo is always at school because he's rarely ill. We only eat biological food and eating them raw. We must be very careful to avoid unnatural pesticides contamination as much as we can. This is delicious. Have you had it already? No. It's the first time? Right now, the rub is very popular. It's a kind of bread loaf made with carrots and flax seeds, dried at 42 degrees. They dry for 5 to 6 hours. Then we fill them with carrots, apple vinegar, beets, and cashew cheese, raw cheese, that is, salad leaves. Depending on the season, we add a bit of fennel or olives. It depends. This is very popular right now. The dishes in the raw vegan diet can be very simple, but if a little more elaborated, they can take quite a few hours of preparation. And Jisok and Tatiana spent entire days on this activity that is almost a mission for them. I'm happy when people eat with us, even if it's just for once or twice a week, twice a month to try our food. I'm happy they can eat healthy, eat vegan for a change, and find out about raw food.
Mangiare un po' sano, mangiare un po' vegano e conoscere la culinaria crudista. Once you try, you want to have always.
I believe everyone's mentality is shifting. In 30 to 50 years, there will be many people eating vegan food.
Abbiamo molte persone che mangiano vegani.
Having always practiced a lot of sports, particularly biking, even in my youth, I practiced a lot of sports. I was always told that carbs are essential for practicing sports, for endurance, resistance. Basically, it's the fuel. The carbs are fuel, and I have always eaten them. For example, fruit, bread, cereal for breakfast. At noon, a plate of pasta. Always whole wheat pasta, but nonetheless pasta. Then a piece of cake as dessert. And for dinner, yes, proteins, meat or fish or vegetable protein, lentils or chickpeas. An elite athlete since early age, journalist for Fallon, Antonio Ferretti has recently discovered that some of his nutrition rules that he had been living by for years were not suitable for his lifestyle any longer. And so it was required he change some habits. I'm almost 62, and especially in the last 3 to 4 years, I noticed I was losing muscle tone, what we call lean body mass. I've always been quite skinny, but I was losing actual muscle, even biking every day, even for long circuits. I also enjoy cross-country skiing. But nonetheless, I kept noticing muscles, even those in my legs, were losing definition. Then I met with various nutritionists, and all of them insisted on the fact that especially at a certain age, it's important to eat proteins pretty much at every meal. So starting from breakfast, lunch, there should always be a protein, especially animal protein. At breakfast, proteins are usually quail's eggs. I eat 5 and a piece of guacamole and some almonds. Then I have some fruit and sometimes a slice or 2 of bread. Quail's egg have the best taste, a little aroma to them, a bit spicy. It's a pleasure to eat them. I then heard from a nutritionist that quail's eggs, according to him, have a lighter impact on cholesterol, especially if eaten in the morning. I haven't actually verified it, but they are part of this diet, and it's a pleasure to eat them.
Sia vero o no. Comunque fa parte di questa alimentazione con delle proteine ed è un piacere mangiarle.
With this change in my diet, after a few months, I was feeling much better again. I could actually feel my muscles again. Even in my legs, they filled my pants better. I mean, I eat a lot of meat, but also a lot of vegetables, raw vegetables, cooked in the evening. I'd say that the largest part is made up from vegetables. Also because they explained to me that the balance to maintain in this diet, the acid and the basic parts of the nutrition. So these last 2 years, I feel almost younger.
Quindi in questi 2 anni mi sono sentito, diciamo, quasi ringiovanito.
Giving up animal proteins in the course of time can have consequences, deficiencies especially. I must say that during my cyclist career, when I was a pro, I had been attracted, let's say caught up, in this kind of macrobiotic diet. Very whole meal, with little meat. For a period of time, when I was racing, practicing 4 or 5 hours a day, I tried to eat just whole meal, with no meat at all, and I almost became anemic. In fact, I still carry some consequences even now. My iron and ferritin are always at the limit. Now this is improving too, but giving up animal proteins can really bring to consequences, especially at my age, if you want to be still active and in good shape.
Possono veramente portare a delle conseguenze, soprattutto quando si arriva alla mia età e si vuole ancora essere attivi e in forma.
In Milan, we meet up with Lorenza. She has made a very extreme choice in what she chooses to eat by adopting a diet described in a book by German author Arnold Ehret, who lived in Ascona on Monte Verita at the beginning of the 1900s. I became fruitarian 6 to 7 years ago, purely by accident. Reading some pages on the internet, I kept seeing suggestions about meat, so I asked myself. As a matter of fact, I eat very little meat, also not much fish, but I was curious to find out if they were healthy or not. Then I decided to find out who Ehret was, a doctor in the 18th century, beginning of the 1900s, and he had started healing people with a fruitarian diet. At that point, I tried to understand what happened in this case. I told myself, if it heals, means it does no damage, so it detoxes, helps to live a longer and healthier life in a spirit of happiness. I already was following a vegan diet. I had eliminated also cereals and eggs, but I still ate greens. So I started this journey not as an immediate change, but slowly eliminating pasta, bread, all the cereals, and it's been the greatest discovery of my life. I really did consume a large quantity. I acquired a lightness and vitality that I don't have before. After a period without them, you don't feel the need for them any longer. At the beginning, everyone was kind of worried, as I lost a whole lot of weight. But as Erit says, first you dissolve your body, then you acquire it again. Even my muscles dissolved, as they were polluted too, so they had to be created over again. That's exactly what happened. All Erit says happened to me too. I lost a whole lot of weight, and then I recovered it all, just like before. Plants gift us with their fruits. That's why us fruitarians eat also vegetable fruits. The vegetable fruits we consume are all those fruits that contain seeds: eggplants, tomatoes, peppers, zucchini, cucumbers, etc. Also, olives and avocados that are fruits containing fats because we need it to live. We don't eat those vegetables that are only leafy, like spinach, cabbage, cauliflowers, or artichokes, broccoli, asparagus, fennel. Those are plants that want to live. And then tubers, like potatoes, those are full of starch. We don't eat them. My breakfast starts with an apple. And there are also apple-itarians. They just eat apples. That could be problematic to relate with others. I live relating to others, and it's already hard to dine out as it is. If I start eating apples only, everyone will start avoiding me and throwing apples at me. The real reasons of the fruitarian revolutions are mostly ethical. Humans are evolving, so are also understanding what is better for themselves and the environment they live in, respecting everyone. The thing is not only health, but respect for themselves and all living creatures. So, living creatures include animals and plants too. That's the most important thing. Lorenza is not alone in this choice, and to demonstrate it, she is bringing us to discover the first vegan fruitarian restaurant in Italy. This is a fruitarian pizza made with plantain, which is a green banana, cooked in the oven and then processed. On top, we have raw veggies. It's the one and only fruitarian restaurant in Italy. There is a need to offer and encourage people to think about a way of eating that is not specific to our species, meaning it's not natural to the human race. The experience that he acquired during the years while making traditional dishes has then brought the chef Fernando Bruno to suggest a cuisine that he feels closer to himself. Being a vegan first and consequently a fruitarian, I decided to offer in my restaurant an alternative cuisine compared to the classic standards of cuisine that uses animals or animal derivatives. Because us Italians, we have a great tradition of fruitarian cuisine in every region. This is a fruitarian tartare made with only fruit. It's made with jackfruit, an exotic fruit that is treated and processed with sun-dried tomatoes. Some fruits are extraordinary. Just take a classic squash, put it in the oven for about 20 minutes, not at a very high temperature, let's say around 150 degrees, the squash is cooked, and we can make the pulp into a cream, which can be used for different preparations. For example, a tasty plate of organic fettuccine with squash pulp and organic sun-dried tomatoes is very appreciated by fruitarians.
Bio è veramente quanto di più buono si possa assaggiare per il fruttarismo.
The season's fruit and vegetables, but also ingredients that come from afar. I discovered the ductile plantain, with which I can make first courses too, or even a pizza that has nothing less going for it than the classic flour pizza. Well, it's definitely healthier because it's a fruit pizza. Plantain is cooked in the oven. When it's black, you peel it and then blend it at high speed. Then you can season it with extra virgin olive oil, the kind without stones, a pinch of pink Himalayan salt, and then work it like it were pizza dough. Same for bread. You might want to make canapes or pastries. I even make bucatini and gnocchi.
Io addirittura faccio anche sia dei bucatini sia anche degli gnocchi.
Amongst the clients, some curious folk and many converts. Quality of food like meat or tuna fish is poor, has become more toxic. Fish is full of heavy metals, etc. So apart from the whole vegan debate, we need to consider the quality of food. That is not the same as in the past. Fruitarian food is high-energy food, nutritious. It charges you as it has a very high vibrations. It's just been pickled and not treated. And it's so marvelous to see such colorful plates full of life and real. Fruitarian diet is for everyone. Of course, it takes some patience. Patience to cook. We should look back at the past and rediscover what our mothers used to cook. All the time, they spent cooking those marvelous meals. My breakfast starts at 5:30 a.m. It lasts about half an hour. I weigh everything because knowing my caloric intake during the whole day is essential to me, as my goal is to be in perfect shape. My body, my appearance is my business card.
Come obiettivo mio quello di essere sempre in forma. Il mio fisico, il mio aspetto è il mio principale biglietto da visita.
Simone is a personal trainer. He's 44, and eating is to him much more than just feeding himself. He's always refraining from the pleasures of good food in order to maintain fit and for a personal research on the best possible diet to follow. My diet is mostly natural, full of greens. I follow the 5 servings, at least 5 meals a day. I have my snacks, which are mostly a fruit, according to the fruit that is in season. My lunch is mostly protein, so vegetables and some proteins, while I prefer to move carbs to dinner time to reconcile sleep.
Mentre a cena, per conciliare il sonno, preferisco spostare i carboidrati.
I made food and education my lifestyle because we are what we eat, and therefore, by eating junk food, as I like to say, our body would be similar to a garbage bin.
Dico sempre, il nostro corpo assomiglierebbe più a un cassonetto dell'immondizia.
Caring about nutrition is essential for people like Simone, who competes in bodybuilding contests. I've tried numerous diets, mostly because I like to experiment for work, to be able to advise others which diet would be best suit the person's lifestyle. but also out of curiosity to see the actual effectiveness it has. I also followed the paleo diet for a while. It was well known in my environment. So many proteins and very small carb quantities, obviously accompanied by fruit and vegetables. I tried the hunting pig out hunter's diet, where you eat a huge amount. The paleo diet linked to the alkalinity of the food. The zone diet, but just for a short period. It was too complex to follow. I tried the blood type diet, the warrior diet.
La dieta a zona l'ho fatta per un breve periodo perché a livello di complessità non mi apparteneva. Ho provato quella dei gruppi sanguigni, ho provato anche la warrior diet, la dieta del guerriero.
Nowadays, I follow a nutrition richer in carbs up to 60%, 65% on 3,000 calories, so a very large amount of carbs. Precisely because he has tried on himself so many alternatives, he knows the strength and weaknesses of them all. As a general rule, those who decide to go vegan do it mostly for consciousness issues. If a person, one of my pupils, decides for it, I advise them to have a nutritionist follow them. There have been problems, especially with people that have eliminated carbs. Their muscle mass is eaten away, making it harder to reconstruct a muscle tone, because as soon as you give them a little more calories, they tend to put on weight, and they don't want that to happen. People need to find their balance in nutrition, as we all have our own personal relationship with food. With my job, I try to help people find their own balance, which doesn't have to be my own. Mine is strictly tied to my job, to the competitions. Others, they have other necessities.
Le altre persone hanno esigenze diverse.
Nowadays, there are many food fads. Once people turn vegan, once raw vegans, and celiac, even if they aren't actually celiac. There is a bit of everything. Even I, as a young girl, tried many kinds of diets as I wanted to see what would work out for me. And it seems to me the best experience is the one we try on ourselves. It's true, there were times I was single-minded, about 20 to 30 years ago, and I ate mostly raw and believed the science behind raw nutrition, and I actually did have the benefits. Of course, when I became a nutritionist, I understood how well you can feel, how much better feeling free and eating a very varied diet, and all the unique benefits it can bring to health. It's important for nutritional experts like Barbara Naldi to warn the general public of the joys and dangers of any diet. There are a few famous American stars that follow the vegan diet, for instance. Right now, there is a boom of this diet. But thinking about when I was 20, 30 years old, there already was the boom of the vegan and macrobiotic diets. These are waves, like waves of trends, that usually have nothing to do with the real instincts of a person. Clearly, there are also new kinds of obsessions, fixations, for example, orthorexia, named by an American physician a few years ago. It's not a term that is accepted by general medicine yet, but it's a term used to describe those that are totally obsessed with healthy food. Everything must be organic, healthy, air has to be pure, water must be pure and distilled, no coffee, sleeping early, not smoking, no alcohol, no getting upset. I've seen people this way. I have patients that, without my approval, would never have a square of chocolate for snack. They are so scared of a square of chocolate that could be harmful, while I try my best to erase their fear of food. With my patients, I do the opposite, explaining that we have instincts also towards things that don't grow in nature, but that we enjoy them because we were brought up with those tastes. Hence, if we have little quantities of those things without fear, we can benefit from them, fulfilling a mental desire or a heart-filled one, of that slice of cake, small piece of cheese, without exaggerating and freeing ourselves from these obsessions.